What's going on?
Hey.
Darrell being here today.
Happy Thursday.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm going to get the day wrong and everything. But, hey, look, thanks everybody on Facebook land. Thanks for joining us today. This is the Build and Grow with Real Estate show. We are coming to you live here at noon with our special guest today, Darrell Eberly out of Lancaster. Monday through Wednesday, we typically come in with, we do a daily show. Usually it's myself and Judah Hoover. And speaking of the man, he's been having some issues with his connection. Awesome. Monday through Wednesday, typically we go over content and we talk about educating yourself in real estate and different aspects. Thursday, we have a guest. And Friday, including tomorrow, we do our fantastic weekly news roundup where we talk about all the real estate related news of the week. So today's guest, Darrell Eberly, I mean, look, Judah's been talking such good things about you for so long. You know, I don't know if he's a good liar or if you're just that amazing.
Hey guys, I don't know if you can hear me, but I found the one place in Morgantown where apparently there is no cell phone reception. I'm here to work on a real estate deal, and fortunately the Lowe's here has a free guest login, so I am on Lowe's Wi-Fi right now, and so hopefully I'm not coming through too choppy. So Josh and I always tell a joke that we will sponsor, we will give shout outs to whichever of the two big box stores gives us a leg up first. And so today it's Lowe's. So we just really appreciate you. And I'm sorry that I was tardy. I've known Darrell for like 20 years. Well, even longer than that. I mean, I think I met Darrell when I was 17 and I'm 41 right now. And I've just always looked up to him. He has been an awesome entrepreneur, a great salesman, a great father, a great community guy, and everything like that. And I've known him for 20 plus years, but he's only been a real estate investor for the last 16 years. And even in just 16 years, he's figured out a whole heck of a lot about real estate. And one of the things that I love about Darrell is the different things that he says, like, I just wanted to do something that stayed done. and that he has a terrible. Yeah. That's why he started buying real estate. He wanted to do something that stayed done. And so hopefully he can tell that story. And also, Darrell has this affliction called deer hunting. And he's found out that by buying real estate, he has more time to self-medicate his affliction known as deer hunting.
That's great.
Is that an accurate?
I have to correct you. I have to correct you, Judah. I am not the hunter. You know, I am one of these guys. I am an endangered plants rights activist.
Right.
All these animals you see, believe it or not, I caught them out there eating these poor little endangered plants. I just had to do the right thing. You know,
right.
This travesty had to stop. So that's what I do.
I really appreciate that. I appreciate you taking care of the plant life. There are a lot of people that stand up for animals, not too many that stand up for plants. I really do appreciate it. Good job. Awesome. So, Darrell, let's start. We always try to start with how you got started in real estate. You know, what was the draw? And, you know, let's just kind of start there and kind of feed into what you're doing now, if that works.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for the invitation. I want to commend both of you, Josh and Judah, for adding value to a lot of investors. And you're making a difference, and thank you. That's awesome. So if I can share a little bit, my background, I grew up on a dairy farm milking cows, and Judah talked about I wanted to do something that would stay done. But I was used to being a hard worker, working a lot of hours and so forth on the farm. But I'm married 37 years to amazing wife, Twyla. And any of you that have met her and know her, I definitely married up. Two awesome kids, 6 grandkids, hard to believe. But I did not buy my first real estate until about 16 years ago. And that's probably the only regret that I have. that I didn't start doing. And once I made the commitment, my environment at that point was working 60, 70 hours a week on the farm. You sort of learn how to do that, but working a lot of hours. But I read a book, as a lot of investors have, about the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Robert Kiyosaki. That book it really is a wake-up call. That's why I have a flat spot right here from going like this. So,
awesome.
And the idea that a person could develop passive income that created freedom was fascinating to me. My first impression was, is it legal? You know, I had never heard of passive income before. And I was working a lot of hours, but I just wanted the choice. I'll probably always be active and do something, but I just wanted the choice each day to have options. I was thinking this past Monday morning about 11 o'clock, I was at my daughter's house laying on the floor with my granddaughter playing about 11 o'clock in the morning. And it just struck me how things have changed. And it's not that I come from that I'm all that special. I had a pretty tough background, but I've been around some good people, and I've made some choices, and I got around people that were smarter than me. My background, I finished 10th grade and went home to work on the farm. 10th grade was the end of my formal education. And however, I read probably an hour and a half to 2 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
I was hungry to learn. It just didn't happen to show in school. In school, I was a part of the class that made the upper 2/3 possible.
Hey, Darrell, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you applied for all these loans that you've taken out, and the banker asked you for your college transcripts, and you said you didn't have any college transcripts for the loan package, what did they say?
I have never been asked.
Really? You mean you could be a real estate investor and they never ask where your college transcripts are? That's interesting.
Never been asked. No, I just learned from people that are smarter than me. That's all. I get paid for plagiarism.
That's excellent. Josh, are you writing these down?
Listen, my silence is not, ignorance or just watching. I just want to make sure I get all this down. I don't have to go back and retype it. All right. So
the worst part is I've heard 90% of these before. I always mean to write them down and I never do. And so they like hit me fresh every time. I love them. I get paid for plagiarism. Ugh.
So, all right, Darrell, this is what's really interesting as I look at this, right? You said you've been involved for 16 years, right? Yep. Okay. So you got started right in the middle of the last major boom, rode it on the up curve for 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then, the whole bottom dropped out. Did you have to sell off everything you own and declare bankruptcy right in the middle?
Okay. No, I didn't. And I'm grateful. I started, I believe it was 2005. And my thinking was that I wanted the passive income. So in the beginning, I started buying downtown Lancaster City and buying 2 units, 3 unit type buildings, bought a bunch of them. And my thinking was that I wanted to have that passive income. So my focus was always on the rentals. However, I didn't have the cash. So my first 18-month, I purchased 29 apartments in downtown Lancaster and flipped, I think it was 16 or 17 houses during that same time period. And the only cash I've ever put in any deal of my own was $3,700. That's not that I'm that smart. I got around people that was way smarter than me, and I started hearing about private financing and that type of thing, and it allowed me to grow quickly. But my strategy was I took any profits from the flips and I put it into long-term rentals where it could create free time. I'm a big proponent of not trading time for dollars. Every decision I made had to go through that filter. Is this trading time for dollars or not? And can I do something once and have it pay me every month the rest of your life? And that was a big key for me to buy assets. But in order to buy an asset, you first have to know what an asset is. Read Rich Dad Poor Dad's book again, Robert Kiyosaki. What an asset is to me, my definition of an asset is something that continues to pay me profit every month, even if I can't produce, I don't have my health, or don't have the ability to show up somewhere. That's an asset. And I got really focused on that. The first, I guess, 8 or 9 years, it was primarily residential apartments, and then I started buying self-storage facilities. Today, it's approximately half and half. But I am grateful for people that blaze the trail, and I'm just a good student. However, I'm very careful of my teachers, and that has made all the difference.
That's great.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Let me reiterate this.
Anxious to learn, but very careful of your students.
There we go. I want to reiterate what you just said here. So in your first 18 months, you went from 0 units to 21 doors.
29.
29 doors. Okay. 29 doors. Okay. And you flipped 6 or 7 houses during that time period.
17.
Okay. 17 houses during that time period. And your total cash out of pocket was $3,700. Man, if you're taking coaching students, I want to sign up right now. That's pretty nice. So you followed the model of seller financing. Is that the deal? And
there was quite a bit of that, and there was also some other private financing I was able to identify. Quite a bit of seller financing, some of both.
Okay. All right. So you said right now you're about 50-50. What does 50-50 look like? How many units are you looking at? And when you say 50-50, is it the number of units or the number or your revenue streams?
That's more of the asset value.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a step back. When you were investing in downtown Lancaster, what kind of neighborhoods were these areas? I mean, 16 years ago, 15 years ago, seriously, like Lancaster is like a hot neighborhood now, but it wasn't maybe 16 years ago.
Yeah. That's an excellent question. I was a numbers guy, and all I could see was just the monthly cash flow. I wanted to have my freedom. Therefore, I wasn't focused totally on the flips. Because to me, that didn't stay done. It required a lot of energy from me, even if I was flipping houses. So I wanted to focus on the rentals. However, I didn't have any cash, so I knew I had to generate some cash but it was to put into the rentals. But I purchased, like I said, a bunch of 2-3 unit type things downtown Lancaster, and but my focus was definitely to work on the rental. I managed them all myself. I'll be honest with you, I made a mistake of managing them too long. I should have turned it over to a management company far sooner than I did. But I was still a lot of small thinking. My farmer background, well, I can do it myself. I'll just do it myself. And I had a very wealthy investor ask me one time, Darrell, what were you doing today? And that was probably 4 years into it. And I said, I was fixing a window. And he asked me a question. He says, Darrell, what would you have to pay someone per hour to fix that window? And I said, probably at that time, $14 an hour. And he said, Darrell, so you want to be financially independent, but your value and your time at $14 an hour. Hence the flat spot.
That's great.
I had a lot to learn.
That's great. When did you decide you wanted to make the transition to storage units?
Excellent question. Here again, be very careful who you choose to associate with and who you want to model from. I got around a guy that today is my closest friend. A lot of you know him, Claire Hoover, and he had a major impact with me as far as self-storage. And I bought my first one, I think, probably a year or so after that. I think it was 2011, I believe it was. But it was nice to be able to compare the two. I'd never had a point of reference before. And on an average, it's around 4% better income per year and considerably less drama.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Okay, that's great. That's great. Plus, I mean, the eviction process is a heck of a lot different.
Absolutely.
Okay. Did you use seller financing with the self-storage units?
Yes, we certainly have. That's a question that's always on our mind when we're doing it. We've done that a fair number of times.
Got it. All right.
Well, the myth that's out there, a lot of investors were like me, didn't have the finances to get going. The myth is, well, yeah, I want to buy apartments, I want to buy storage, whatever. I just don't have the money. And the lie is that I need a lot of money to buy stuff. Well, part of that's true. You need the money. The lie is that the money has to be yours.
Gotcha.
There's people. I've heard rumor. There's people that do hard money lending.
That's right.
And Josh is outstanding at that. There are people. There are options out there. You don't have a money problem. You have a thinking problem. You got to get around people. There's no such thing as a money problem. It's always a thinking problem, the way they look at things. And it means getting around someone that has solved that problem and say, what did you do? I didn't have a much education, but I did a lot of this. I meet an investor that I had some success in a certain field, and I bought his lunch a lot of times.
Yeah.
I would meet them and pick their brain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm smart enough to know I'm not that smart, but I can learn from someone that's been down the road.
So I was, it's funny. I just went out to have a drink with somebody yesterday, and they come from a very similar background. And the guy has a handful of units. He's flipping houses, he's buying businesses. And we got into a long discussion about a lot of different things. But it's interesting to me, and we talked about this briefly right before the show started, the backgrounds of people that I see that are consistently successful in real estate, you know, and I cut my teeth in the Philadelphia market. Some of the best wholesalers I know, they cut their teeth selling drugs and realized that wasn't the life they wanted.
Yeah.
And so they had the work ethic, they had the hustle, they just had the wrong product. And I kind of feel like, you know, it's certainly not the same thing selling drugs and being a dairy farmer.
Pharmaceutical sales. It's not selling drugs. It's pharmaceutical sales.
But the point being, though, I mean, you cut your teeth learning how to work hard and, you know, doing the heavy lifting and working 70 hours a week. And then finally, maybe not finally, but you realize that's not what you wanted to do and made the shift. What was it about that you think instilled that work ethic in you? I mean, is there something
people ask me,
hey, I knew I didn't want to do this.
People ask me, or I had a guy tell me one time, said, Darrell, you have a pretty decent work ethic. And I can't take credit for that at all. That was developed by my dad on the farm, totally against my will. But I'm grateful. You know, I hope I never forget where I came from. I really do. That's a desire of my heart. It might surprise some people listening to this because I struggled a lot when I was a little guy. I struggled a lot in my life, struggled with depression. I've struggled a lot of things. And the danger for investors, if they see someone at a meeting or something like this, and they do what I did years ago, and they get in the comparison mode.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine by the name of Greg Johnson made a statement to me a lot of years ago about being careful with comparison, because when we compare, we tend to compare my weakness with someone else's developed strength that they've developed for maybe 20 years. Or we'll do the opposite. We think, well, I'm doing really good, and we get full of pride, and then we crash and burn. So be careful with that comparison. Just become your best you. And that often means just getting around people that are where you want to be, reading a lot. I'm a big reader. I'll show you a book right now that's been life-changing for me, The Compound Effect, Darren Hardy, life-changing book. But I read an hour and a half, 2 hours every day. It's something that I just really enjoy. I like learning, but I hope I never forget where I came from. Twy and I weren't doing too hot when we started out financially. You should have seen our car. I hated to stop at a four-way intersection because it looked so bad. People thought it was an accident. So I didn't want to.
Well, hold on a second, though. You said something a minute ago. I mean, that's really funny because I've been there, but I want to rewind here a second and talk to you about that comparison, right? I've heard that said a number of times too. And I heard a guy one time saying, you know, everybody looks at people that are wealthy and they're saying, man, I wish I could be like that. And in reality, you don't see the conflict with his wife and the stress that it goes through and the destroyed relationship over here and there. And I mean, that's certainly not with everybody, but I think we oftentimes run our life race against everybody around us instead of like racing ourselves, because oftentimes, I mean, I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. He curses too much, but I like him a lot. Yeah, his whole thing is like race to happiness. Figure out what how well you can do you, and that's such an important part of life, really. Just being content with what you have.
Sure.
Yeah.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much. Yep. Just become your best you.
That's right. On the car note, I once had a vehicle that when we traded it in, the first thing the car dealer said is they came down and sat down. And the woman says, "You do realize that car does not have an awful lot of value." It was about the nicest way that you could say, "You got a piece of crap out there that you're trying."
Yeah.
Hey, so Darrell, we've got about 9 minutes left on the show here, and I want to be sensitive to your time and everything like that. We don't want to go much over 30 minutes here, but what do you think about where we are right now in the market? You've been here before at this point in the market. And if you're somebody who's looking to get started, or somebody who's only done 2 or 3 deals, or somebody who's been doing this for 7 or 8 years and they've never seen this market before, and so therefore they're scared, I think the advice would be similar to a whole bunch of people. And we've got an election coming, and there's scary outcomes on either side of that. What do you think? And you're not selling a course, and you're not selling real estate to anybody. What do you think people should be doing right now?
Beginning is half done. You got to get started.
Yeah.
It's never the perfect time to get started. The key is just taking massive action. Go out and succeed before you discover it can't be done. That naive faith of a child we can learn a lot from. But it's never going to be the perfect time. I mean, that's a good question. There's a lot of people really consumed with fear right now with this election. They're paralyzed with fear because they're consuming cable news all the time. And I'll tell you a story just real quickly. Back in 2012, we were in a very similar environment as we are right now. And of course, I was partway into my career, and Obama had just got elected the second time, and I was very discouraged because of the direction I saw the country going and so forth, and the concern about a lot of the tax situation and the economy just floundering at that time. And it wasn't, what I've had to learn the hard way was this. My focus was completely on the negative because I was surrounding myself with people that were negative. Be very careful with that. And I was consumed with a lot of that negative news and so forth. And our mind's an amazing thing. It'll grow whatever seeds we plant, but we have to be careful what we're planting. And I made a mistake back then in 2012. Probably cost me $2 million. And the mistake was I took my foot off the gas pedal. I hadn't sold stuff, but I just took my foot off the gas pedal as far as growing. And I had mostly just dealing with rentals at that point. Wasn't flipping a whole lot, but and what that did, it cost me a lot of momentum in my business. And the key is when you own assets, bottom line, the Federal Reserve is what's causing a lot of this because of the massive dollar printing. Okay. And if you had $100,000 in cash in a savings account or a checking account in January, today the purchasing power is approximately $86,000. That's why you want to own assets.
Yeah.
The assets are going up in value because of the huge money printing that the Fed is doing, and that is going to rapidly continue. There's no choice. You got to own assets in that environment. How many people got a 10% raise this year? But the devaluation of the dollar, you can keep pace and raise rents with inflation. So for people that are considering, regardless of who get elected, my point is don't permit your political affiliation to make your choices on your finances. Mm-hmm. That costs me a lot of money. Yeah. And don't permit that to happen. There's always opportunity. Will we need to have a little different strategy depending on who gets elected? Absolutely. Will the taxes be 10 to 15% higher, perhaps, depending on who gets elected? Absolutely. But there's still opportunity, is my point. And people that have held on longer term through whether they have apartments or regardless of what they have can't believe the selling prices right now.
Yeah.
And so if you want to be a part of that, you have to have a little longer term picture than only who gets elected. When President Trump got elected at 1:00 in the morning, the Dow was down 1,000 points. There's people are trading on emotion. There's a lot of people right now that are selling stuff and because they're petrified of who might get elected. And to me, that's a bad choice. It cost me a lot of money. Those people that purchased the day that Trump got elected, minimum today are up 61% in the stock market. So don't permit your financial affiliation to, the key is what you're focusing on. You know, we get more, whatever. I teach my grandkids, this isn't a garbage can with a hairy lid. We have to be careful what we put in here. And for me, that means turn off the TV quite a bit and go reading a good book. That has impacted me in an amazing way.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I love it. I love it. It's great, great advice. I mean, look, okay. So what you're saying, okay, what advice specifically would you say about this market? And I mean, I know you said, look, don't be afraid. And I get, don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is sometimes not being afraid can be foolishness if you're not well informed.
Yeah. Exactly.
So how do you wade through that? I don't know, that the tension there. You know, it's kind of like walking a tightrope, right? You don't want to fall off.
Right. Sure. I can relate with that paralyzing fear of not wanting to make a mistake. I'm kind of wired that way. And that comfort zone we don't grow in. You know, it just doesn't happen in a comfort zone. It means stepping out. So,
yeah.
You know, in today's market, if I was a new investor, I would still be buying apartments or storage, whatever you want to buy. Make sure it's an asset. However, you know, I'm not the one. I'm just wired this way. I'm not the one that's buying the nice, pretty one that has everything nice. I want to create value. I'm a value add guy. I create value. And when you buy something that perhaps needs some work and fix it up, typically you don't have as much in it as the guy that pays full retail. Typically, but buy it in such a way that that there's some cushion there. You know, I haven't ever gone over 60% loan to value, and that to me, if people say, "Well, you borrowed 100%," yeah, in the beginning, but I created value.
Wait a minute, did you just say you haven't gone over 60% loan to value?
That's where I'm at today. I should clarify that, but okay. That's I paid off all my debt that I had about 4 years ago, and then I read the parable of the talents, and I realized, okay, I can use that. So yeah. I wanted to put it to work. So, but that's there's don't be afraid of taking action. Be afraid of not becoming what you could be. You know, and the people, Tom Watson that started IBM told his employees, he said, go double your failure rate. He said, you're playing it too safe, because on the other side of failure is where you'll find success.
Yeah.
Don't play it safe. It's never going to be a perfect time, but, you know, make wise choices. I'm not saying be foolish, but time is your friend with real estate. Owning assets over a longer period of time it's flat out amazing. It really is. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Darrell, I got to tell you, I really appreciate your spirit, really appreciate your heart, really appreciate how you appreciate Josh and I for coming on here and doing this show every day. And man, I got to tell you, I am so glad that we are friends. You know, it just occurred to me, Darrell, I'm having one of these moments, Darrell. I'm realizing that I've never introduced you to my 4 kids that are ages 8, 10, 12, and 14. And I've got a resource here, and you would love to meet my kids and talk to them. And it would just
awesome.
be another source teaching them so much of what you and I think alike. And I'm going to be texting you, my friend, and you're about to meet 4 kids. They're huggers.
Awesome.
I'm just going to warn you.
Bring it on.
They're huggers. But yeah, I can relate to this right here. Hey, so listen, ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate you checking us out and being with us here today. Darrell, thank you so much for being with us. One of the ways that Josh and I are trying to bring value to the marketplace is just by doing a free Facebook challenge. This seems to be a way that a lot of influencer and people like that are bringing market to the value. It's bringing value to the marketplace. It's a little bit more focused, and it's a little bit more of a collaborative process with the audience than us just standing here and talking to you all day, every day. And there's also going to be some action items that we are going to give you on every single one of these 5 days. And it's going to be wholesaling is what we're covering, because that's one of the ways that you can make money, like Darrell said, without any of your own money being tied up, so that you can go out there, wholesale, make money to buy assets for long term. What you want to do is go to buildandgrowwithrealestate.com, buildandgrowwithrealestate.com, register on the website. It's totally free. We'll shoot you an email to join the private Facebook group. We're going to start November 2nd. The content is going to be about an hour every day. I mean, it is going to be intense. And there's going to be modules that we go through and documents that we give you and information. And our goal is that by the end of this 5-day, you will have your first wholesale deal. Our goal is that is by the end of the week or shortly thereafter, you will have your first wholesale tied up and be able to do that. It's a 5-day challenge, flipping houses without cash, credit, or criminal behavior. Build and grow with realestate.com. And I just want to close out by saying thank you very much, Darrell.
Really a pleasure.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Well, yeah, exactly. You don't know what you've meant to me, my friend. It's criminal that Josh and I have done 135 shows, and this is the first time we're getting you on here. I mean, that is just that is a mistake that I have made, and I apologize to our audience for it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Darrell, thanks a lot. Facebook family, we'll be back here again tomorrow. If you like the show, don't forget to like and share it. We'll be back here at noon with our fabulous Friday roundup of the week and real estate related news. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.